He sounds sweet, pleasant, thoughtful, considerate, right? Caring about everybody. And this sentiment, whether he's serious or not, and the more serious he is about being that way, the more concerning it is. This sentiment has fooled so many Americans and so many people, not just him, but people of his ilk, and have brought such havoc to this world. And everyone needs to be clear about this. Because someone is sweet and demonstrates themselves as understanding, and they may even believe that they themselves are understanding and considerate and care about everybody and the sensitivities of other people. That's not a justification. We have to be clear about something. If you're sensitive to something dangerous, you become dangerous because you are the gateway to giving permission to this danger. It's not okay, it's not nice, it's not thoughtful, and it's not considerate to give space and understanding to dangerous people. You can and should, we should understand them, but we shouldn't understand them in a way of accepting them. There are certain things that are unacceptable. This is the problem with, and the danger, the serious danger of MAMDANI becoming the New York mayor. He is going to destroy the city on a social level, but never mind even the social level. He is a person who is unwilling to call out terrorism. And even if it's coming from a place that's understanding and thoughtful, even if he sounds, as some Jews would say, he sounds like a mensch. We don't need a mensch in office. It would be wonderful if we had the luxury of having a mensch in office. But in politics today, few politicians are a mensch. I remember some other big politicians who friends have told me, but he's such a mensch. We don't need a mensch, we need a leader. We need someone who can stand up to things which are problematic. Here's a clip from the recent debate where he repeats the genocide claim that Israel is committing a genocide twice within a minute. Israel defending themselves, he calls out a genocide. This is a person who lives in delusion. He doesn't have clarity on what's going on in the world. How can such a person run a city? Watch this.
I said leave it blank in the presidential primary because primaries are a place to air dissent. And like many Americans, I was horrified by the Israeli genocide of Palestinians. And if you want to look for me on the ballot, you'll find me as the Democrat.
Mr. MAMDANI, thank you. We have to move on. And there are criticisms about your positions in the past and how you envision leading on these issues as mayor. So we have questions for all of you, but first for Mr. MAMDANI, because of something you said that's been generating headlines in the news today as we come into the debate yesterday on Fox News. You were asked if Hamas should lay down its weapons, key to the peace plan and ceasefire. And some say they found your answer confusing. You said, quote, I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety, and the fact that anything has to abide by international law. And that applies to Hamas, and that applies to the Israeli military. So for the voters tuning in tonight, Mr. MAMDANI, what do you believe about Hamas and how lasting peace will be achieved? Well, we know it's a complicated matter, but we'd like you to keep your answer to a minute if you could.
Of course, I believe that they should lay down their arms. I'm proud to be one of the first elected officials in the state who called for a ceasefire. And calling for a ceasefire means seizing fire. That means all parties have to cease fire and put down their weapons. And the reason that we call for that is not only for the end.
I just want to ask, when he says all parties have to lay down their arms, who do you think he's referring to when he says all parties? Is he emphasizing that Hamas must, or is he emphasizing that Israel must? Just a curious question. And that's something we have to pay attention to.
Of the genocide, but also an unimpeded.
There again, the genocide for the second time.
Access of humanitarian aid.
Unimpeded access of humanitarian aid. We already know that the UN falsified all of the information about the lack of humanitarian aid. Gaza always had plenty, an abundant amount of food. He's repeating these lies.
I, like many New Yorkers, am hopeful that this ceasefire will hold. I'm hopeful that it is durable. I'm hopeful that it is just. And for it to be just, we also have to ensure that it addresses the conditions that preceded this. Conditions like occupation, like the siege, and apartheid. And that is what I'm hopeful for.
Occupation, a siege, and apartheid. All of the propaganda points. This is a person who is so entrenched in a worldview that is so disturbing that would be shocking, number one, for any Jew to vote for someone like him. He's literally a danger to Jews. I know he sweet talks about caring about every New Yorker, Jew and Muslim alike, and all of that. We have to be clear that you can't just look at someone who speaks about his neighboring Jew. We have to look at this person's views at large and realize that when a person has a certain viewpoints, they become a danger to society. The way he looks at the world is a danger to society. We will have, based on the way he views the world, we will have endless, brutal terrorism going on in the Middle East because he's still a proponent of apartheid, genocide, occupation. Israel gave Gaza to the Palestinians. It was Israel's territory. Israel gave them a gift, and he's calling that occupation and blaming Israel for their sufferings, which all has to do with Hamas. This is deeply disturbing, and everyone's got to pay attention to this. He talks very sweetly, and he may actually mean everything he says, but that only makes it more troubling. When someone actually believes this, it makes it more troubling.